Today we are learning how to make this bubu dress. Don't forget to subscribe if this video ends up being helpful, and also like this video so I can reach more people. Bye guys. The materials I'll be using is one piece of ashoke, and I got that for 2000 naira. And then the fabric is like Kampala look-alike. It was gifted to me, and I have about 5 yards here. What you want to do is to open up your Kampala or whatever fabric you have and fold the two edges and make sure the length you are cutting out is longer than your full length. You can add say extra 5 inches to your full length. Also cut 2 pieces. So my chalk wasn't showing properly on my Kampala, so I had to use a paper, but you don't have to. You can just mark directly on your fabric. So I have my paper here, and first you mark the width of your neckline, and I used 3 for my neckline, 3 inches. Then for the depth of my neckline I used 1 inch. That's the maximum. And then I marked my curved neckline. Now you want to measure your center back to your elbow. That's where you want your bubu sleeve to stop, and mine is 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 18 inches on the top of my paper, and also I move below that point and mark the same 18 inches, and I will connect. From the top of my paper I came down by 1.5 inch, and I connected that 1.5 inch to my 3 inches that I marked earlier. Now I want my round sleeve to be 11 inches when I'm done, so I marked 11 inches. Then if I place my tape on top of my paper and I mark it to the point where I just marked, that's 12.5, right? So I will also extend that 12.5 inwards and make a straight line. I will mark 2.5 and measure out what is left. What I have is 15.5 left, and I will mark 15.5 on different points to the hemline of my dress, and I will connect. Then I will come to the point of intersection and I will make a curve. Now I'm going to cut it out. And this is my bubu. First, I will place the paper on my fabric that I already folded into 2. I'm going to cut out the shape of my bubu. If I open it up, I have something like this. And this is going to be for my back. Now I'm going to grab the front piece and I will mark 1.5 inch from the points of my fold, and I'll make a straight line. Then I will head over to my sewing machine and sew a straight stitch on that line. Now I'm done sewing, and I will place my brown paper on the line that I just sewed, and I open the center front. Then I'm going to cut out the shape of my bubu. Now if I open up my bubu, it looks like this. Now let's make the neckline. If you look at the neckline, you notice that the neckline is a rounded V, but it's slanted to one side. First, I want my neck depth to be 8 inches, so I drew a straight line on that point, and I will come over to my neckline and draw straight lines on both sides of my neck. Next, you are going to do like you're making a curve, and then when you get to the bottom of your neckline, you slightly bend your neckline and draw your desired shape. Like I said earlier, I have one piece of ashoke. I will grab that one piece, fold it into 2 and cut it. Then I will show you how to sew your ashoke in 1 minute. I will also be needing a facing for my bubu, so I went ahead to cut that off camera. To sew my ashoke, I will match both the edges of my ashoke to be slightly on top of each other, and then I'm going to sew as little as possible. And this is my result. And I will place my ashoke under the bubu that we have just made. Make sure that the center of your bubu matches with the center of your ashoke, and you are going to cut out the desired shape. Now if I bring out the ashoke and place it on the fabric, it looks something like this. Perfect. The next step is tricky, so pay attention. The first thing is to mark the length of your first design. Mine is 27 inches. And then if you look at my bubu, you will see that one side is slanted right. So you want to make the other design on the part that is not slanted, right? So I came down to my shoulder by 15 inches and I marked that. Then I went in by 2.5 inches and marked that, and then I'm going to make a curve. I also made a curve on the other side of my ashoke design and I will cut it out. If you want to leave your design like this, it's perfect. I decided to use what I've just cut off and I sewed it to the side just the way I joined my ashoke earlier. And now I'm going to pin the ashoke to the fabric. Then I will place the facing on top of the project and pin the fabric as well, and then I sewed round. Now the next thing I will do is to make small notches on the neck, especially on that part that has like that connecting. And the essence of this is because if you don't do this, then your neck is not going to come out neatly, but if you do this, then your neck is going to be neat. And also I like to turn my facing over, and then I'm going to sew that small seam allowance. I'm going to sew it onto the facing. That's called under stitch, I believe. Some people call it top stitch, some people call it under stitch. I think I need to make a research on what the right name it is to call it. But anyway, the essence of this too is for neatness. If you do this, you see that by the time you want to turn your facing, then it will be very easy to turn your facing. So for my neckline to come out this neat, what I had to do was to use my steam iron to press my neckline inside. So I like glue the facing to the fabric. Right now, to finish up my neckline, that's the ashoke area, we're going to head over to the ironing table together. So this part is easy, but you really need to take your time. So what I normally do is to fold in sections. So I'm going to fold a little bit of the ashoke inside, maybe like half inch. Then I'll iron it so that I will get that sharp edge, right? Then I'll now place my hemming gum inside and I'll still iron it again. When you're doing this, please, if you're using dry iron or one iron that can burn your clothes, make sure you put like a cotton material on top of your ashoke and then iron, or better still, use a good iron. That's how you're going to get the best results. But if you're just using your dry iron like that, it will burn your ashoke. Another thing I want to keep in mind is that when you are putting your hemming gum inside the ashoke, make sure that it is inside, but still make sure that it is holding that fold that is going to glue the fold to the ankara, right, or whatever fabric you are using, and then you iron. Also, when you get to the curved area, make sure you take your time and do it. If you take your time, your project is going to come out so fine and very, very beautiful. So now we're going to move on to the other side. That's the part that has the sharp edge. Now to do that part, what you have to do is to grab your scissors and then make like a small knot, just small. It should not be too much, just enough for you to fold your ashoke, right? And then you're going to fold in that top part, and also don't forget to fold in the curved part. Essentially, you have to fold in every part of this design, your ashoke design on your fabric. So make sure you take your time to fold every part, and when you are done, you are going to head over to the sewing machine. Once you are done folding in, make sure that you sew the edge of your ashoke. The reason you are doing this is because hemming gum is not that strong, and you want to make sure that you sew round, because if you don't sew round, it's going to come off later. I grabbed my back and cut the facing for it, and I sewed the facing and turned it. Lastly, I'm going to pin the front and back together and use the back facing to turn the front and sew the shoulder together. I grabbed a long piece that is about 4 inches wide and folded it into two, and I'll place it on the wrong side and sew. Then I'll turn it over to the right side of my bubu, and then I'm going to turn my bubu to the wrong side, match the armhole, and sew the sides with 1/2 inch. I folded the hemline and I'm opening up the center of my bubu gown. Open it to however deep you want. Mine was 40 inches because I was wearing it to church. So as you can see, my armpit area is folding somehow. So to eliminate this, I'm just going to turn it over to the other side, and then I'm going to make small notches on the armpit area. Once you have done this, it will be very easy and your bubu is going to lay nice and flat. Also on your slit area, don't forget to insert hemming gum or just sew it, anything you like. That's the end of this tutorial. If this tutorial was helpful, don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.